I messed up a relationship, ex is angry all the time but still wants me to fix things. I messed up a relationship and dealing with a difficult co-parent. To begin, I had some mental health issues I was not addressing, and then our child was born. Our child hated me, she wouldn't sit, play, or be happy around me, it was all about mom. I distanced myself and really was just an awful partner and parent. I wouldn't cook or clean, I was scared to be alone with my daughter, I was depressed, having terrible migraines. My partner and I were fighting all the time because I wouldn't do enough and didn't know how to do things for our family, like plan go hours and remember things like diaper bags, etc. I admit, I was a piece of shit. I just didn't care and it showed. It all hit rock bottom when I decided to leave my home, and when I tried to hug my baby goodbye, my partner pulled her away and wouldn't let me. Granted, I was very pissed off while packing my things, but I got so angry I grabbed my partner by the shirt collar and said, "Don't ever do that again." I immediately regretted it and let go seconds after it happened, apologized, cried, and sought out therapy the next day. I fucked up, I know. Ever since then, roughly a year, I have been dealing with an extremely pissed off co-parent who has said borderline abusive things to me and just fights with me at every turn. She'll push me into getting mad and then guilt trip me for treating her like shit. She'll interrupt me when I'm telling her something and say I already know, with a disgusted look on her face. She has actually called me disgusting a few times, and when I ask her if she meant it, it's off-putting for asking. She has said so many mean things and says that compared to what I did, it shouldn't matter what she does. Everything is my fault. Literally everything is my fault. She'll be so pissed off if I can't take the baby last minute to my apartment, say things to make me angry, and then says I keep fucking things up. I constantly am telling her to just end things completely with me because she obviously hates me, but she'll say that I have to try to fix things because she's exhausted talking to me. I'm too much to handle according to her. She'll ignore me all week and then get mad at me for calling her out and says I'm going about it the wrong way. I'm not allowed to be frustrated or angry around her because I've done enough damage. I've tried to end things in a civil manner, but it kind of feels like she manipulates me into not ending things. I don't know what to do. Last night I was crying and kept repeating I don't want this over and over. But then I somehow end up blaming myself for everything. She's only allowed to feel frustration, anger, rage, and I have to be calm and collected all the time. This isn't love, right? Or do I need to suck it up and take the abuse to fix things with her? Next story 2. What do I say to my partner who thinks we are at different stages of life and it's threatening our relationship? My girlfriend and I have been dating for almost 9 months. Despite the short time, we've both fallen very hard for each other and we have a very special connection. We have very similar brains, perspectives, and goals for life. We both feel like the other person understands us better than anyone else. I've been in several other relationships over the years and this one really stands out. I really feel like this woman has potential to be my wife someday. We've actually both expressed that sentiment to each other before. 9 months might not seem like a long time, but we've gotten really close and spent a lot of time together. We will both be seniors at our college next year. We just spent the summer living together in New York after we both got internships. She got her internship offer back in June 2022, but I was not as on top of things as her, so I didn't get mine until February 2023 when I was determined to be in NYC with her for the summer. I grinded applications all winter break and applied for over 250 internship positions while networking with over 20 alumni who worked at different companies I was applying to. When we got to NYC, we each had our own apartments. She was doing an investment banking internship that had her working from around 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. every day. I ended up not spending a night in my apartment because we realized a lot of the time we'd get to spend together would be after work. This was tough, because sometimes she didn't have the chance to decompress and unwind as her apartment was small. I would try my best to give her space and help out however I could, making us dinner, doing our laundry, washing our dishes, etc. I am not good at making plans and I have a general indifference toward activities, so she would make a lot of decisions for us regarding weekend activities or restaurants to try. During the summer I contracted mono and got sick for the final 5/10 weeks that we were there. After being sick for a week, she urged me to go to the doctor. I scheduled a telehealth appointment and it went fine, but they obviously weren't able to diagnose mono. I stayed sick, and 2 weeks later I went into urgent care. She was upset that it had taken me this long to go back into urgent care, but honestly it was hard finding a good time to go in with most urgent cares closing at 5 p.m. and I was going into work still, so it was difficult to find a time. I ended up going one weekend to the urgent care and they weren't helpful. I ended up going to the ER 3 days later and she stayed with me from 11 p.m. until 3 a.m. when I was discharged. She felt like I wasn't listening to her, wanting me to go to the doctor, so she was upset that my ER visit impacted her internship. She had to call in late that day because she wasn't going to get enough sleep, and she was concerned that would be a really bad look for getting a return offer. After the summer ended I was supposed to go back with her for a week to spend time with her family, but at this point we knew I had mono and we didn't want to make anyone in her family uncomfortable. Today, she just called me and told me that she is concerned that I don't have the same life experiences as her and that she feels like she's always having to be my life coach. She spent a gap year abroad in Argentina a few years ago, she lived independently in Chile last summer, and she's taken her career development seriously for longer than me. I hadn't lived independently for the first time until this summer, and she is concerned that we are at different stages of life. She also sees some similarities between me and her manic father who traumatized her whole family and ruined their lives when she was a child, because I sometimes have creative ideas I want to explore or run with. She told me she thought living together was a lot and that I need to be living in my own space in the future so I can really learn to live by myself and develop my own identity. She's also having a hard time because she thinks I'm not as extroverted as her, and sometimes when we aren't doing anything it feels like we are in a cave. She told me that she's also really scared because of how much she loves me. I told her that I would try my best to take more initiative, which I did at times over the course of the summer, and that I needed her to trust me that these were things I'd work on. She wants us to take some time to reflect on how we fix this problem, but she seemed really overwhelmed and it's making me really nervous and unsure how to proceed. It seems like part of her is unsure how I am going to fix these issues. She's concerned that I don't always listen to her when it comes to things involving life experiences, like she thinks I should have gone to an in-person doctor sooner, and she's also frustrated because she wants these to be things I already know, because otherwise she says she feels like my mother or life coach, which is not a dynamic either of us want. We are now taking a week to process things, and she emphasized to me that we wouldn't be having a conversation if she thought it was unfixable or a deal breaker. Does this seem salvageable? This is our first big moment of contention in our relationship. Does anyone have any advice? I understand where she's coming from and I think I can make positive changes, but I also feel like this seems like it shouldn't cause a breakup given everything else in our special relationship. Next story 3. I'm worried he's using me to get over his ex. I have a friend who broke up with his girlfriend of 3 to 4 months a while ago, and few days after she started dating the guy who was the reason of the breakup. My friend, and his ex's relationship was sort of a sudden one. I remember their friends commenting plot twist on their relationship post. About a week after the breakup he vented to me that he's scared that he's gonna start catching feelings for me. I panicked at the time and told him I don't know how to respond to that. He told me that I don't have to say anything and we didn't open that subject again. Yesterday we had a call and he confessed his feelings to me, and since then I've been thinking so many things. At first I thought it was wrong, you can't catch feelings in that time and that way, so I told him that. But we talked more, he told me that he tried talking to other people to make sure of his feelings, and he didn't feel any feelings with anyone else. And he was a party where his ex was with her new boyfriend, and though he didn't like it he couldn't feel much pain. I don't know what to do. He's such a good person and we have great energy together. He's honest and I don't think he wants to use me. But I think that he might be unconsciously wanting someone to get over his ex with, and I was there, and that he might think his feelings are true when they're not. My friend told me it is weird indeed, and that the thing about talking to other girls to try to feel something seems weird. But that made me annoyed and I hate that it made me annoyed. I don't want to end up being the one with feelings and he turns out to be just moving on. When I met him after that call we talked a lot and he seemed really into me, cares about me, and he was so damn worried one day when I couldn't answer his calls or texts. But now after talking to my friends they made me doubt it more. What can I do to know if he genuinely liked me and not tricking himself and me?